Right, good afternoon folks. Welcome to the castle. My name is Jerry de Vries and my accomplice is John Farello. We are both gunners for the Canon Association of South Africa, and we provide a cannon firing service to the castle. We have also been cooperating with the castle now for several years in the recording, recovery and conservation of South Africa's heritage and history of muzzle-loading cannon. So far we have recorded 1,016 in South Africa. We have recovered 48 guns from scrapyards, ditches, dumps, backyards, wherever, and we put them back at historical sites. We study the methods and the traditions of the gunners of old, and we're trying to keep those traditions and methods alive. The Canon Association has got somewhere in the region of 80 members at the moment, and if anybody's interested in joining the Canon Association, there are several functions. There's the historical function, there's the recording function, there's the conservation function, and top of the list is the firing of cannons. If you talk to either of us after the firing, we've got to put you on the right track. The cannon we're going to fire here is an English gun dated about 1770. It has the crest of King George III on top, and the caliber of the gun is that of a half-pounder. It's known as a half-pounder because it would normally fire a solid cast-iron ball that weighs a half a pound. Now this is a solid chunk of iron. If this meets you on the way to the 700-meter mark, it's going to spoil your day. Believe me. Okay? Now we don't put this in the gun today for a very simple reason. My boss's office is there. So, no way. This stays in the box. The standard set of loading equipment, which John will demonstrate. The first is known as a worm. They used to make their gunpowder charges up in a cloth bag. They would load the bag, powder and all, and the shot and fire it. When they did that, burning pieces of bag remained in the chamber. You could not reload the gun while you've got something burning in the chamber. So they had to extract it, so the worm was used. It would be inserted, twisted to the right to hook for the remaining parts of the bag and pull them out. In this case, there shouldn't be anything in there. The next piece of equipment is the sponge. When that bag explodes, there are also small pieces of cotton and small pieces of bag. They're too small for the worm to hook. So the sponge is dipped in a bucket of water, hence the sponging water bucket as they call it. The water is shaken off, and the damp sponge will be pushed up the bore right into the chamber at the back and then turned once or twice to make sure that any embers that were glowing in that gun are extinguished. A lot of people think the sponge is for cleaning the gun or cooling the gun or whatever. It's actually a vital piece of the loading equipment. You have to sponge between shots, otherwise you're going to lose friends and gunners at a hell of a rate. The next piece of equipment is known as the ladle for loading the gun. It's made of copper and wood. No iron on it, you don't want spark. You can load either with loose gunpowder, and that is a measure for 80 grams, the correct charge for this gun. Or you can load a prepared charge. You'll notice that on a ladle there's a little button on the handle. That little button is so you can feel which is the top, which is the bottom when it's in the gun and you can't see the end of it. Now our charges we make up in aluminium foil, which we know is cheating, but this is our concession to the modern age of safety. Aluminium foil does not lie and smoulder in the chamber. It does not start bushfires or set people's houses alight, which seems to annoy people for some reason. That's 80 grams of powder in foil, nothing else. People on the end of the pizza get about 20% survival rate.
Ach jezus, vir 'n mens.
Right, John will now load the charge using the ladle.
Hoe?
The charge is put into the gun to the chamber, the ladle turned over and jerked out, normally leaving the charge behind. Once the charge is in, they would put in a wad, which is anything extendable, spongy and soft. You give it a ball of paper, cloth, straw, grass, anything like that. It just forms a plug against the powder with the top to sit against it. Then they would put the cannonball in, and then 3 firm thumps of the rammer. Hello?
People there.
The next piece of equipment is the apron of lead. Apron of lead covers the vent. When the vent is primed, that apron of lead protects that priming powder from sea spray, rain, wind, sparks from other guns and so forth. The pricker or reamer is used to check that the vent is clear and then also to make a hole in the charge which is in the chamber. As John puts it in, you can feel it standing on the charge. Then he presses it in, and you can feel it makes a hole in the charge, which is obviously opposite the vent. So now, when he trickles priming powder down the vent, it goes into that hole in the charge and will form a fuse to the outside of the gun so that it can fire. Once the cannon is primed, put the apron on, and the cannon is now loaded, primed and ready. This is known as a linstock slow match, a cotton rope impregnated with saltpeter. When you light this, it glows on the end. When that glowing tip touches that powder, the cannon fires. Now we all know that in front of a cannon there's a certain amount of mayhem and chaos. We all expect that. That's what it's designed to do. But what the gunner has to take note of is a second flame that comes out the vent at the back at about this angle. Very narrow flame would come up to about here. The gunner gets in the way of that, he gets burnt. So he would stand to the side of the gun, stay upright, keep his arms straight and fire from this angle quite safely. Now, please don't worry about that woman standing up front there. That's my wife. And believe me, I've been shooting at her for years.
It's the aiming point.
Right, now traditionally these were lit by means of a flint and a piece of iron. We have fire. Now folks, is there anybody who would like to make R100 contribution in our tin here and have the honour of firing the cannon?
Ja.
And hopefully bumping off my wife. You gonna do it?
Ag Jesus, Boeddha, het jy nou 'n kans van jou lewe gehad?
You want the first. And if you manage to get her,
Refund.
you don't have change.
No, it's one old.
We will accept it. That case, if you manage to get my wife, we'll give your money back. Right, you're going to stand here. Let me right hand. Finger in your left ear. Most annoying on this side of it. When John removes that on my countdown, to keep your arms straight, you don't lean forward. You just touch that into that card.
So.
Folks, I recommend fingers in ears. I promise you,
Nee.
you will still hear it. Okay? Stand by.
Nee, moenie te maak. Ek wil hê jy moet
Stand
hoor.
by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Wow! You're so awesome! Good, yes!